good to have you. This is our 11th conversation of what we're calling In Search Of. The Behind the Chair Millionaire. We've stopped mincing words. We're saying that not only is it possible, but probable, and we're starting to set goals and a strategic path that hairdressers in their 20-somethings are setting a course to get to, we call it 7-figure net worth, or millionaire. Sometimes I'll call it the land of milk and honey, right? The promised land. So in addition to a 6-figure income, which was a big deal a while ago, that's inside of this. But now let's be a Jedi's in our wealth building, financial independence, as we are in Behind the Chair. At any rate, my guest tonight, Jessica Vershowske. This is time number 3 that she's here. This is kind of a hybrid encore for her. We had her on a couple of years ago when she was just started. She was crushing it then. And then I brought her back last summer in the middle of COVID to she was doing some extraordinary tutorial work, some videography, and she was teaching us some of the apps she uses to edit and stuff. And so really a lot to talk about. I consider her a 4-gem $1 million mindset Jedi. And as you know, the 4 gems are to make more money, give yourself a raise, save money, pay yourself first, pay down your debt, get debt free so you can be half rich, and 4, spend less than you make. She is crushing it on all 4 of the gems. That's why I called her 4-gem Jedi, right? And her track record proves it. You got to really focus in on the track record. She's in beauty school in 2017, right? So when you look at a $15,000 W-2, come on, she's going to school. But she begins at Hair Solutions in 2018 as an associate, and starts. And it's interesting because she's already beginning to pay down her debt. So even when she goes to school, she's able to pay off $5,000 in debt, and somewhere in there she begins saving money, 10 grand. Then she pays another 12 off when she starts in debt. So you do the math on that. That's like 17 less on debt, and adds another $10,000 to her saving. We get her talking about how she did that. That's right up there with extraordinary. Now she's debt free. So it looks like she either didn't pay down any debt, or by then she cleaned it up, and adds another 20 to her savings, and or she's up to 20. Then we'll get that clarity. Look at that jump in 2020, $65,000 on a W-2, and she's pays off another 5. Now she's up to 35 saved, and now at 2021 she's trending 100,000 on her W-2 livelihood. And she's paid down, it looks like, another 5,000 on her debt. So this is extraordinary. I mean, her first really full-time year, she started at HB at Hair Solutions in June of 2018. So that's her first full year is 2019, guys. So 1, 2, in her 3rd year, she's going to crack into a $100,000 W-2. Now, those of you that follow my teachings know that, we've been talking about the 6-figure hairdresser, but, in the good old days, like a year ago, pre-COVID, that'd be a 5 to 6 year journey. She got there she's going to get there in a 36-month window. That's what I mean about being, first of all, a digital native, which she is, and going through the level charts at Mach 5. So lots to talk about there. I'm not going to mince any words with, she's earned the right for sure. She's in my green room. I'm going to engage her in telling her story as it relates to $1 million mindset. And then we'll get into, what she's doing to really be able to build not only 6-figure income, but move into a, right now, 5-figure net worth, soon to be 6, and then 7. So let's go get her. She's right here. There she is. I'm going to unmute her so that we can hear her audio, and you're going to make her feel welcome, you guys. Hi,
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. I know you had a long day, and your boss says she calls you JV. Can I call you JV?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. You worked all day. You were crushing it all day, and then you had to like get from work to your house to get here. So I really appreciate the effort that you put in to be with us tonight. I thank you very much.
I made it.
You did, and you look great. You
Thank
changed
you.
your look up again. Every time I see you, you're reinventing yourself. So, well, listen, I'm really looking forward to the conversation with you because last time you were on, it was all about income and branding yourself behind the chair and all of that. And you know that continues to evolve. But now we've kind of added something to this. You had two of your besties, Elena and Lindsay, and as you and I were chatting, you know what, you got to come on and have that conversation too. So get us started. What's the story as it relates to this trend you're on called 7-figure net worth?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's surreal to even think that I'm on this trend to that, because I just feel like, yeah, ever since, starting out my first job, like all of that stuff, you start out making a little bit of money and it's fun and you have this extra money you can spend. But I feel like it truly was kind of ingrained in me to just start saving. Like I always wanted to have this savings account and I just kind of kept building it. And I became kind of addicted to seeing that number rise. And the cool part is now that I'm in this career and I'm, finding ways to continue to increase my income, that mindset is still there. And so that savings can just continue to rise even more. And now that I'm older, like looking at, retirement funds, investing, like it's just a really cool experience to be on, having that mindset still. So,
and when usually, the handful of conversations I've had like this, the story usually is, for a big part of my 20s, I just, first of all, I was introduced to a higher income working on a well-branded salon, but I wanted to live large, right? And just really enjoy having a life in my 20s, and I didn't get serious about this. Sounds like you were living large a little while, but not too long before it kind of said, okay, that's cool, but you wanted to start establishing some wealth for yourself. When did that pivot happen for you?
Yeah, I think, so I was fortunate enough for when I got my driver's license, I was then like, okay, now I have to get my first job because I want to pay for gas and things like that and to go places. And I was fortunate enough that my parents had a family car for all of my siblings, all of us to use when we first got our driver's license. So I think my pivot happened when I had to pass that car on to my younger brother when I turned 18. I had to purchase my own car. And so right before then, it was kind of like, well, I want to get something nice. I don't want to get just like a $500 car. I want to, get something nice for myself. And so I think that's where the savings started. Like I was saving for something that was in my near future. And I think that was just a really big motivator for me. And then after that, I mean, it was like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, okay, I want to go on a trip. I want to, buy this or that. And so I think it was just these things in my life that I maybe didn't have growing up. Like we never traveled when I was younger, and that's totally fine. But I all of a sudden had this desire to do that at a certain age. So just these things that were new to me, that it was like in my reach, that if I save and I, deal with my money smart and, save that money, I'll be able to do these things and it'll totally pay off in the end.
Wow. So what I'm getting from it, and this is what's really interesting, is like a lot of people, when we begin saving, I call it, we kind of save to spend, meaning I want to save up enough money and spend it on getting a car, or save enough money so that I can move out on my own, or, whatever that short-term savings goal is. Sounds like you had that. You got your car and whatever else you needed. But then, okay, now I want to begin saving to save. which is a whole different, I want to save to build something for myself down the road. And it's, as I'm listening, I thought that's what I heard. Am I tracking right?
Absolutely, yes.
So so you save for at 18. When did you get your first car, by the way, that you actually paid for?
It was at 18, so that's where I put in like the debt that I've paid off. I'm proud enough to say that I've never truly had debt. I just, paid for my car at 18. So that was what that amount was for.
I was wondering about that because you started paying off debt like you were still going to school.
Yeah, and so that's another thing that I feel like just growing up, I didn't like the thought of having debt. And I know some people, it just is going to happen for things, but I just didn't want to have to be in debt. So I decided, talking about school now, so I decided to do the part-time program, 2-year cosmetology program, so that I could pay for school as I went instead of paying for it after the fact. So I ended up doing that. I paid off my car, just all of these things that I was trying to pay off because I didn't like the thought of having debt. And I was fortunate enough that I had the option of doing part-time school. I could work before school, then go to school and pay off everything all at once. So that's something I'm definitely proud of.
Well, that was the other thing that I just heard you say, that while you're going to school, you're working, and so the money that you were earning and you're working, you were using that to lower debt. Now, were you still living with your family of origin then, or had you moved out by then?
Yep. And I made that decision to stay at home. My parents were very great. They're like, you can stay as long as you want, as long as you're working, making money, doing something for yourself. Like, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. And so I'm very fortunate to have had that opportunity to stay home, not have to pay rent, not have to buy my own groceries. Like, I was very thankful for that. And for that, I was able to pay for school all by myself. And then, once I started my career, it wasn't like worrying about this debt to pay off. It was like, awesome. Now I'm saving to move out on my own and I don't have to worry about anything holding me down.
Well, how long's it been since you've been out on your own?
I moved out like a year and a half ago by myself.
Right. And you and I, what I'm really curious about is, as I was kind of putting your profile together, you now have a great head start in putting money away. And I'm assuming that most of the money from the number you gave me is 401k stuff. Was I reading it right? You're in or around 40 grand on your 401. Am I getting that right?
No, that was a combination. So that is the combination I have of my personal savings account and my 401k. So kind of everything that I have saved at the moment.
So if you add those two numbers, you're at 40, right? At 22, soon to be 23. I work with people, hairdressers, that are well into 30 something, 40 something and beyond. And trust me when I tell you, whatever it is they've got stashed, it isn't that. When did that come into play? Especially putting some in 401.
Yeah. So right when I turned 21, I decided to start my retirement fund because that's the age I had to be to start it through work. And at that point, I was still living at home. And so I was like, I have a pretty good amount of money I can stash away because I don't have all these bills to pay for. And I was actually planning on staying at home a lot longer. That was kind of something I was planning on doing for a longer period of time than I did. So I'm like, I'm going to put away 12% into my 401k right off the bat because I can afford to do that living at home. And then honestly, looking at the way that my numbers have gone throughout the years, my income has just increased greatly by jumping levels and building my business. And so as that has grown, I've been able to now move out on my own, have all of your bills to pay, but still be able to contribute that 12% because the income has also increased along with my living expenses. So it has stayed pretty stagnant.
What's extraordinary about this is, we talk about the 4 gems, like raise your income, save some money, lower your debt, be conscious that your spending is always less than your income, and you're firing that. But what's interesting is your first full year behind the chair in a level is 2019. This is 2021. We're not even halfway through 2021 yet. So you could basically say you're like halfway through your third year, right? And you're at a level 5. You're going to crack 100 thou in your W-2 in your third year, which is right up there with unprecedented. But you also, you know, when you're saving, and you said 12%, well, 12% of 40,000 is different than 12% of 100,000, right? And so all of a sudden that 12% of 100 is 12 grand. You know, 12% of 40, I don't know what the math is, but it's more than, you know, half as much. And then I think, Dawn, there's some sort of matching thing where that, you know, you get to 15%.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head what the matching percentage is. Because I just kind of became more aware of all of this recently. After speaking to you. I'm like, I got to get on top of all this stuff, really looking at what I can do. And so she does match those. So we're very grateful for that.
Well, I'm interviewing her next week. So I had to kind of get all the, like, Dawn, tell me, like, what do you got cooking here? So I think that if you get to 12, and then she, the Hair Solutions puts in another 3. So that takes you to 15%. And then today, just for the heck of it, I took your, I don't want to cover you up, but I sent you this, which is, you know, the savings calculator. And based on what you're putting in, it said that you'll reach $1 million in 17 years. You're 20. Let's just say you're 23 now. 33 and 7. So you'll be there before you're 40. And knowing you, like you'll go to 120, 150 a year, and then that 12 or 13%, all of a sudden, you're like tucking away 20 grand a year. So it wouldn't surprise me. If you cross the Rubicon at 35 or 36.
Yeah, it truly is just mind blowing because all of this has happened so fast. And until really looking at it and breaking it down, it just does not feel possible. And it's not something I would have thought about because I'm just doing my thing right now. But it's so cool to see the breakdown and the calculations like that.
So I'm curious, is there anybody in your family or personal life that really gets this conversation and sees the I'm going to call it the trajectory you're on at 23? Because it certainly is not ordinary. I would say that it's extremely extraordinary. So is this something that your parents are in on, or is that something that you keep very discreet about?
I mean, I think like everybody, it's like I was talking to you about before we hopped on here, like it is, finance is money. It's hard to speak about without feeling like you're, I don't know, bragging or like talking. It's just a funny topic. And so I do have my boyfriend of 6 years that I'm able to be very open with because I feel like, together we're building this life together. And so he's, so happy for me, is always so supportive about everything. And it's cool for me to be able to kind of celebrate these things with him and not feel that way.
Right. My
family is so awesome. And, they always celebrate me too and think I'm doing great, but it isn't something that I speak about just because I don't know. It's just a funny feeling topic for everyone.
I mean, I'm calling this, the Behind the Chair Millionaire remarkable secrets on quietly, discreetly, silently moving into being a behind the chair, a millionaire stylist. Because you're right, it can, depending on who you're having the conversation with, it can be a sticky conversation. People feel like, are you bragging? Are you this? Are you that? It's something, it's not a secret conversation, but it certainly is personal. It's private. You keep that to yourself. So to just come on in a conversation with me and talk about it openly, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I know the culture at Hair Solutions is such that you can be very open about it, that there are a number of people in Hair Solutions with culture that are on a similar track, as you know. So you're not going to be picking up Mondo vibes from your working peers. That, as a rule, people are very encouraging and supportive. Do you say, is that true? And if that is true, what's that experience like for you at Hair Solutions?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you couldn't be more spot on with that. And I think that's something from the beginning that was intriguing to me. I mean, we were talking numbers in my interview starting out at Hair Solutions, just to, Dawn loves to give just a vision of what's possible and what some of the stylists in the company are doing. And that truly was like a huge motivator for me. I trained under Elena, who you had on a couple weeks back, and, hearing what she is doing financially, how her numbers are at work and her trajectory she had been on was super inspiring to me. And I think that's one of the big thing, the big motivators. And then hearing about, Sam and Lindsay, all these people who are just doing amazing things. I just never even thought that was possible in this career, in this area.
So here, as I'm listening to you, yeah. I'm getting some new information. One is, once upon a time, you were Elena's associate, right? Yep. And she's on the same track as you are. Is she mid-20s, or is she on the front end of 30-something? Isn't she on the front end of 30-something?
Yeah.
And then, once upon a time, Elena is Anne's associate, and Anne's on the same track. So there's almost like this lineage of people that are, and it's now part of the value system and the culture at Hair Solutions. So what an extraordinary world to be part of, because the consciousness really supports where you're going. It's like you're not alone. The power of we is greater than me is alive and well at Hair Solutions.
Yeah, it's very cool too. That just made me think of even at our staff meetings monthly, we celebrate our specific numbers that we hit and everything. It's open for everybody, and everybody is so supportive of each other, and we all want to see each other succeed, and we all celebrate when somebody has the best yet, or just to hit this amount or this and that. It's a very cool environment to be able to be open about that, because it is something to celebrate. It's amazing, and we don't want it to have to be a secret, especially within our salon, in our industry, which is why I love that you're doing this segment, because I think it's so important to see what's possible, and that's going to motivate people.
What would you say to, the people that are watching tonight? There'll be a lot of people that be watching the recording, and first of all, they're watching and they're listening, and they're kind of looking at you, and they're identifying, gee, I'm 20-something, and I do what she's doing behind the chair, and I'm this, but they're seeing, like you said, we pivot, and you're on a different path. So they're looking at this. They're whatever path they're on, they're not this path, and you kind of become aware of it, and you wake up, and you're now at this holy jumping off place. Do I or do I not pivot? But it's a big pivot. Because as you know, you kind of move from just kind of being mindless about your money to being more focused, more intentional. And what do you say to somebody that isn't sure, gee, is this going to be good for me? What if I fail? What if I? Anything you can say that would encourage them?
Yeah, I feel honestly, it's so cheesy and cliche, but it is possible. Anything is possible. You truly do just have to be ready for it. You have to switch that mindset and be this is possible for me. I was never a city person, so I always thought I'm going to settle down in Little New Berlin, and if I can make whatever $20,000 a year, I'm cool with it. And here we are, multiple people at our salon are 6-figure stylists, and the sky is the limit. It doesn't stop there. And it's amazing to see. So like, doesn't matter where you're located, where you started, you know, if you had debt in the past, if you had, you know, some crazy spending habits in the past, like it is never too late to start turning that around. And there are multiple outlets out there of people who can help you, who can support you, and who can get you on track. And it's just about believing in that and taking that next step.
Yeah, I first of all, I love your answer. And there's a piece of it that I'm sure a lot of people are relating to. Maybe they haven't seen it yet, that before you got into this, you went, okay, I'm going to, you know, establish a life in New Berlin. And if I can get to 20, 30 grand a year, yeah, that's cool. And all of a sudden you step into this salon and you go, whoa, you know, the income potential is exponentially greater than I would have thought. So that would be enough to blow the sides off your brain box. Yeah. And now that you're there, you're going, okay, but you're going, no, wait, there's more. That as I'm, you know, establishing great, you know, standard of living, lifestyle, livelihood, income, whatever you want to call that, I can also create a future life for me. Like you used the word retirement, and I would say to you, you're going to have $1 million goose at 35 or 36 that's laying golden eggs. And I know enough about how this works where if you wanted to, you could leave the eggs in or take out, you know, 40, 50 grand a year to add to what you're doing. So you're going to have options in your 30s that many people don't have in their 60s. So kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Well, before I let you go, promise me that you'll come back for some encores, because I think, you know, like this is your journey now, and you're a great example. Dawn actually said something on my board. She said, you give hope to others, and you know, you become a vision of what's possible. I would agree. So promise that you'll stay close to me and come back from time to time and just kind of check in with us, because you're blazing the trail.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to come back on anytime.
Now, while I've got you, I want to ask you for one more favor. I'm doing, I just finished, and as you know, Elena was on, and Lindsay was on a private Zoom that now we're doing. L'Oreal is sponsoring, you know, complimentary Zooms called $1 Million Mindset, Behind the Chair Millionaire. They came in as surprise guests, and it was just so cool because they showed up with, he's not lying, like, we're doing this, okay? So yeah. When it's right for you, I'd love to have you as a guest. I'm doing several more of those this year, so I'd love to have you, you know, like drop in as a surprise, 10-minute, 15-minute, just to let people know that, no, this is the real McCoy.
Oh, of course, I'd love to.
All right, listen, I know you've had a long day. I'm going to let you kind of get to your life, have a little dinner, but thank you very much. Say hi to all my homies at Hair Solutions. Tell them I love them to the moon, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right, we're going to give it up for Jessica one more time, you guys. Stay well.
Bye. Thank you.
Whoa. That was a very real conversation. I just loved that, you know, what hit me big time was when she said, you know, at 19, 20, I figured, okay, I'm New Berlin and I'm going to have a good job, and I'll, 30, 40 a year, and it's going to be wonderful. And she steps into a culture, a brand, Hair Solutions, and I've been working with them for many moons. And all of a sudden I go, she starts saying, like, no, I can enjoy way more than 30 or 40, and she's at 100,000 on a W-2 now, and she's only 22, soon to be 23 in her third year. So she's saying that was enough to blow the sides off of her brain box. And from that, she's establishing a lifestyle, if you will. But now, because she's watched her leaders, she was an associate of Elena. Elena's 31. Elena will be a millionaire before she's 40. And she's seeing that, and she's saying, I want to add to that. And she's made that decision at 22, 23. I think Elena said, I kind of, was living large until I was about 25 or 26. And then I really started building some momentum in my late 20s. Jessica's building at 21, 22, right? And Lindsay's same. I mean, I think Lindsay's like 24, 25, all on the same trajectory because it's part of the brand, it's part of the culture. So I just see her, it's just, first of all, it's unprecedented to be able to see people have that kind of opportunity, that type of coaching, that type of leadership. And I think Dawn even, as we were chatting, Dawn was saying that she will, what is it, JV? It's 20% on the dollar match up to 8%. So when you do all of the math, if somebody were to get to putting in 12%, when you really look at what the matches are, they get to 15, and 3 points of that is the brand is making the contribution to incentivize it. Now somebody say, well, it's only 3%. It's like, no, it's not 3%. It says 3, but when you look at 15%, 3 is 20% of 15. So that Jessica is earning 20% interest on her money before you put that and her money in an investment. So this is extraordinary. It's unprecedented. And while it's been available forever, we're starting to realize it now. And I think that the salon is coming to an age we're saying, okay, like what's next? Don't look now, but this is next. This is a game changer. So I could talk about this all night, you guys. It's really good. It's close to my heart, my soul. My teacher got me on this path in my mid-30s, and I'm like mid-60 something now. So I've been on the path that she's been on. And I say this with gratitude, not grandiosity. I crossed that Rubicon a while back. So I know how much it had changed the trajectory of my life. So, and she's getting started, 10, 15 years on it before I did. And, I am on, it's like, wow, as good as it did for me, it's sweeter for her and all the people there. So just a great evening. So I want to give it up for one more time. And if you're new to the conversation, whether you're watching tonight or you're going to be watching the recording of this conversation is powered by L'Oreal Salon Professional. So they've stepped up and they make major financial commitments and allows people like me to bring this to you, not for free. Free's cheap. There's no such thing as free. It's compliments. It's a compliment of L'Oreal and the brands. So if it serves you, right, and you begin to enjoy the kind of life that you're seeing with Jessica tonight, express your gratitude and support their brands. To the degree you support their brands, it puts them in a position to continue. I call them my benefactor, right? Every year I go there with a philanthropic, proposal for a grant. And they grant me so much money to continue the conversation. So it's a beautiful thing. So thank you, L'Oreal, for what you do. And now it's under the Salon Emotion brand. So it's a great evening tonight. I love you guys. Continue to do this. Next Monday night, I believe, the leader of the pack from Hair Solutions, Dawn Banfa, will be on. I think she's still on now. So you're going to want to come and hear that conversation from a salon leader, salon ownership, salon vision. I really look forward to that interview. So between now and then, have a great weekend. I'll be hanging out on Clubhouse over the weekend and continue this conversation. So if you're on Clubhouse, follow me and come to my Clubhouse room because this conversation never stops. So anyway, Godspeed, and we'll see you soon. And Mar says, you're the bomb. You're the bomb too. And Mar, Randy Kunkel, you're the bomb. See you, Dawn.